The Pimax Crystal Super is here, and that means that we are going to be talking about all the good and the bad, as well as the important things that you need to know before you buy one. And there's also a big bonus later on that you really don't want to miss. So let's dive right into it. And what better way to start it off than with what comes inside the box? Because in here, you will directly be greeted with the futuristic looking headset unit itself. And underneath it, you will find the two included controllers that you will need for navigating through VR. But also in the box, you will find the upgraded floating speakers that you can swap out with the basic built-in ones by using this handy tiny screwdriver. But it also comes with a head strap replacement and foam pad, which are always nice to have on hand. Now lastly, in the cable box, you will find the power brick and a bunch of adapters so that you can switch them up no matter where you are in the world. But firstly, let's take a closer look to the headset itself, because you might have already noticed that while the Pimax Crystal is still bigger than the standard Quest 3, it is luckily a lot more compact in its form factor compared to the previous Pimax headsets. And when you're looking directly on the outside of the unit, you'll now find their new built-in cameras that are capable of showing your surroundings in pass-through, as well as tracking your controllers. So that means you won't need to set up any external sensors anymore to be able to use it. However, they do have the option to switch your faceplate for this in case you prefer to use the lighthouses anyways. But getting back to the headset itself is one of the most important things that we should talk about, and that is of course the lenses. Now the Crystal Super uses their own special glass aspherical lenses, which are in fact slightly bigger than the pancake lens alternative. But they are still a massive improvement over the older Fresnel lenses like we still have in a lot of VR headsets. Because these new ones don't only give you a lot sharper image, but they also have a larger sweet spot so that your vision won't start to blur after you just move your head slightly. And like with most Pimax headsets, these also allow for a big field of view, which is the part of your vision that is covered by your screen. And in this case, that goes all the way up to 127 degrees, which gets us to the next crucial component where this headset really shines, and that is the screen. Because this one rocks a dual QLED panel with 3840 by another 3840 pixels per eye. And while QLED might be slightly inferior to OLED panels when it comes to vibrant colors, the Crystal Super manages to fix this thanks to their built-in local dimming. So that means that you will get some near OLED contrast and a fantastic image quality with pretty much the highest resolution on the market. But we should also mention that this insane sharpness is also partially thanks to their eye tracking feature, which is capable of dynamic foveated rendering. And this basically translates to your screen being the most sharp in the places that you're looking at, which is similar to how your eyes work in real life. But it also uses less computing power and thus can boost your performance overall. But moving on, we have an often overlooked feature, which is the audio, because for some reason, in a lot of PCVR headsets, they don't include any built-in speakers at all and make you rely on a wired solution instead. So it is nice to see that even the base model Crystal Super does have this from the start, while also still having the option to switch them out quickly to the previously mentioned floating earphones, which gets us to the head strap. Now this one has your go-to halo strap design that feels nice and sturdy and that can be adjusted with the turning wheel on the back. But honestly, most of the older Pimax headsets often had the problem that because of their size and weight, they just ended up being way too front heavy to be comfortably worn for longer playing sessions. But now, with its big reduction in footprint, I can finally say that I can wear this one without feeling like I have a brick strapped to my face. But of course, next to the headset unit, we should also talk about the controllers. And no surprises here, since these are your standard dual ring designs, which are used for the inside-out tracking directly from your headset. And on the surface of them, you'll find your thumbstick and home and menu button, as well as your trigger and grip button on the back. Now the overall feel is quite nice, and the wrist straps don't look flimsy at all compared to some other ones out there. But probably the biggest change is that they are charged by USB-C with no detachable battery cover inside, so keep that in mind. But that gets us to some of the most unique features of the Crystal Super that a lot of people forget about. And the first one is that the faceplate comes off really easily and attaches with some magnets for quick changes and cleaning without having to worry that you break the interface. But by far the coolest thing is that you can also take out the entire lens and display unit from its frame and replace it with another one. And this doesn't only make it easier to change out your broken parts of your headset instead of having to buy a whole new one, but this modular approach could technically let you upgrade your headset whenever a better version comes out. And all that by just simply clicking in your new display and lens unit. But of course, by far the most important thing is when it comes to your games. Now, like you come to expect from your PCVR headsets, is that this one will also let you play the entire Steam VR library to your heart's content. But just keep in mind though, that with the high specs of the headset, you will need a buff gaming PC to get the most out of it. Luckily, even if you don't have the latest graphics cards, then Pimax does have their own software known as Pimax Play, which can automatically help you to optimize it to the hardware that you're rocking. And because of this, you can still get some good performance and high resolution graphics with even some of the lesser recent cards. So if that's something you're struggling with, then make sure to use this, since this could help so much before you get that next big chunk of metal of Nvidia. And besides that, this is also the same software that you will be using if you want to tweak any of your settings on your device directly. So definitely don't forget to check out all of the other cool features that you can toggle on from within this. Oh yeah, and the headset obviously makes use of a DisplayPort so that you can get that uncompressed image quality. But that gets us to the price. Now the Pimax Crystal Super comes in at a total of $1,735. And this includes the headset, controllers, and other accessories that we talked about in the unboxing. However, it is good to mention that there are multiple different versions that you can choose from, with the one that you see right now being the so-called Super 50 ppd model. And the other option would be the 57 ppd model at the same price point, but with the main difference being that their pixel density is higher. But before you think that this one is directly better, it does trade in this slightly sharper image for a big portion of your field of view, which makes it likely that for most users, it is probably not worth it to trade it in for that big reduction in FOV. And lastly, there is also a micro OLED model, but that one comes in at a higher price of $2,135. Luckily, there are often some really good deals that you can find from Pimax himself. For some reason, a lot of people miss out on that. For example, right now, the Crystal Super comes with a free voucher for VR prescription lenses, which can be a game changer if you normally wear glasses or contacts in real life. But another example would be their PCVR headset upgrade campaign, which can give you a big reduction on the Pimax Crystal Super, as well as the other headsets like the Crystal Light, if you can show that you owned a PCVR headset before and are now buying a new one. Either way, I'll make sure to leave a link to all of those, as well as some nice discounts in the description below, so please make sure you don't miss out on them. But that gets us to the final conclusion. The Pimax Crystal Super is an awesome PCVR headset that truly pushes the boundaries of what is possible inside virtual reality. Because not only does it give you an insane resolution and huge field of view, it also comes with some unique features like the more future-proof swappable optical unit, while also having a much smaller form factor and inside-out tracking that we see in other consumer VR products. And while the price is definitely on the higher side, keep in mind that you won't need to buy any extra controllers or lighthouses compared to many other PCVR headsets that are out there, making this overall a pretty good pick for those hardcore VR enthusiasts. But that's not all, because if you want to see an in-depth comparison of the more budget-friendly Pimax Crystal Light against the Meta Quest 3, then click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.